Today is the 23rd of July, and it's a hot day. It's going to reach 36 outside, and the greenhouse temperature is about 40 degrees centigrade. So we are boiling here, so you can see. John, who is a very good friend of mine, he's been a pupil for the last few months.
Right, he is.
And he's been bringing some very interesting trees. He's a San Jose Juniper specialist. All these trees here, you can see, these lovely thick San Jose Junipers. He has produced them from cuttings only 6 or 7 years ago. Look at them, massive trees. So he's brought them today for a one-to-one workshop with me today. So we're going to spend the whole day today. So there are 5 San Jose's. Although this is a bonsai pot, it's nowhere near complete as bonsai. And I'm trying to create a different tree out of every single one of them. So I will go along and take shots. I can't spend 6 hours showing you as a YouTube video, is far too long. I'll try and compress it to about 20 minutes, but we will show you what we can do with these trees and try and make every single one of them different. There you go. So this is the first of the San Jose's. It may look a very simple and ordinary one. So the first thing I look for is the movement of the trunk. This is more or less destined to be an informal upright. There's not much choice to do other things with it. And the trunk is about 3/4 inch or about 1 inch in diameter at the base. And it has a lot of lovely branches, lots of lovely branches. And there's a fork at this point. So having a twin trunk at this higher level doesn't usually work, so we'll probably have to get rid of one of them. So which one shall we get rid of? This one seems very straight, so it's not that interesting. But this one has lots of lovely movement. So it comes this way, and I can probably bend it a little bit this way, and I can get lovely movement from this tree. So it doesn't need to be that tall. So that is one possibility. If I look at it from this side, I'm just thinking what to do with this part. This part, if we're not going to use, would end up as a gin. But gins are not usually at the back of the tree. So if I made a gin, it should really be in the front. So can I still use this? Well, we will see. As we work, we will see if we can incorporate the gin. If not, we will have to just keep it at the back or discard it. The other possibility, because this is such a tall tree, it can always be like a literati with sparse foliage at the top, but because these branches are so nice below here, it seems a waste to discard them. So we'll stick with the original plan to make it an informal upright and then treat that back as a gin. So we'll reduce this for now. Reduce this a little bit. These young branches are going to be very useful. Every single branch is going to be used. So we'll just do a little bit of wiring and see how we get on. So I decided not to wire the top, so I'm only going to wire the branches. So we'll begin by wiring from below. All the branches are of slightly different thicknesses, so I have to judge the appropriate grade of wire to use. Choosing the grade of wire, again, as I said, comes with a bit of common sense and a bit of experience. If you use wire which is too thin, it won't do the job. And if you use wire that is too thick, it may damage the branch that you're trying to wire. So as long as you wire them in pairs, that's fine. Wiring is very, very important because it's the basis of all bonsai creation. You can make the shapes as you wish. You can change the shapes as well. So understanding and mastering the technique of wiring is fundamental to being able to create bonsai successfully. There are no shortcuts. The more you practice, the better you become. It's like any neuromuscular skill, whether it is swimming, dancing, or even singing. Practice makes perfect. So these two are wired. Then the next one will be these two. I'm trying to match the grades as I go along. These are very nice bonsai wire cutters. A lot of people use ordinary electrical pliers. They will do the job, but they're not as effective as the proper bonsai wire cutters. They're designed for a specific purpose and they're really efficient. Now we're going to wire the next pair. So always in pairs. A word of warning, San Jose juniper can be very brittle. So you've just got to be a bit careful how you wire San Jose. Now this long branch, I will keep and emphasize it as a long branch, because in some of the bonsai designs there's a thing called the coat hanger style. Coat hanger, that means it's got a long arm and it's like a coat hanger. So I'm going to make this a coat hanger, just to be slightly different and more interesting. We don't want everything looking the same. So this will add a bit of interest. Now I'm anchoring to this branch, which is already wired, just to anchor the branch. And I'm taking it out to this coat hanger branch that I want to wire. I will try and give a little twist to this to see what it looks like. So I may need to wire after all. So I will add a piece of wire at the back. Although I said I'm going to make gin with the back one. So I'm removing all the branches because this is going to be a ginned portion. Deciding what gauge of wire to use comes with experience and intuition. The San Jose juniper is a juniper that has two types of foliage. It has both the adult and the juvenile. The juvenile foliage is this prickly foliage, but if it is kept pot bound and you don't repot the tree very often, they will get the cord-like foliage. I can show you on some of our older San Jose junipers, but this is only 6 years old from a cutting, so most of the foliage is understandably the juvenile or prickly foliage. One of the first workshops I ever did back in 1976 was with Mr. John Naka when he visited the UK, and I worked on a huge San Jose juniper that I had collected from a friend's garden, and that tree is featured in my first bonsai book. So San Jose is a lovely species. For people who can't import the Chinese juniper, San Jose is the next best thing, I think. It's a cross between the needle juniper and the ordinary Chinese juniper. Now just a selection of branches and we should be there. So the rest is very simple. It's just a question of selecting branches that are evenly spaced along the trunk, and the tree should look quite reasonable. For those of you who are fairly new to bonsai, or just getting to bonsai, I would certainly recommend this species. Unfortunately, in the UK, not many nurseries and garden centers sell San Jose juniper because it's no longer a fashionable tree. Most of garden centers and nurseries tend to sell bedding plants, flowering plants, flowering shrubs, things which are either golden in color or steel blue in color. But conifers have fallen into disuse these days. Back in the 60s and 70s, there were a lot of people who grew conifers. They were conifer collectors. But you don't find very many people like that nowadays. Remember, the pines are almost impossible to strike from cutting. Junipers, most of the junipers strike from cuttings very easily. Now I'm just making what is called an open coil on this because the branches are rather thin, so I don't want to strangle them. So I'm just arranging the branches evenly around the space that is available here, and that will make a nice crown. The wire I'm using here is the 2mm wire. 2mm is a very popular size of wire. I would say it's one of the most used sizes of wire. So if you're wanting to buy wire, always stock up on 2mm. Very useful grade. I would say 1.5, 2, and then up to about 3mm, what most average beginners would find adequate. Remember that this tree has only been wired just now in about the last 15 minutes. There are many more years to go before this tree will become nice, but it's already quite presentable. I don't want to take it out of the pot because the roots are not firmly established. So this is the tree with that beautiful movement in formal upright shape. So we made something nice with this, and I haven't cut a lot off. The back, as I said, I'm going to make this a gin in my own time, just simply by using the gin pliers and crushing the bark. We can make this whole bit gin, but there's no rush to do it. You can do it at any time. At least we've established the general pattern. I would advise John to keep it in the pot for the rest of this year. Feed it well. We haven't disturbed the roots. And in February of next year, we should be able to put it in a nice pot. So this tree would be at least 50, I would say it's about 50 centimeter tall. Very nice tree. There you are. So this is the first one.